Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good day. Welcome to the webinar Introductory Demo, how you can benefit from Perfion PIM. My name is Martin, and until recently I was the CEO and co-owner of Netronic Software. As most of you know from previous webinars, I sold Netronic Software to Boyum IT from Denmark. And after being on board with Boyum for a couple of weeks, I figured out that Boyum does not only have the products that I was aware of before we sold and where we saw great synergies with our scheduling products, but I also learned about product information management. I learned about Perfion, and I thought that this could actually be a very great opportunity for you as both our customers and partners. And we made some introductions over the last couple of weeks on what product information management is, what Perfion is, to whom this is for. And then I also said that later on is today, we'll do a demo. And this demo will be by somebody who knows the product much better than I do, who knows it in and out, and who can do a demo like with as much passion as I have done scheduling demos in the past. And this is my colleague Jesper, who is a Perfion product specialist here at Boyum. You have both our contact details here on the slide. So if after the meeting, after the webinar, you have some questions, then please feel free to reach out either to me or to Jesper. And then we look very much forward to helping you guys and working with you on either finding out if a PIM and Perfion would be a good fit for your customer, or if you're an end user, then if PIM could be the right product and if Perfion could be the right product for you. As this is a webinar, you're on mute, but this is not because we do not want to talk to you, but just for organizational reasons. So if you have any question, then you're cordially invited to use the GoToWebinar chat pane and then post a question there. I will monitor this, and then if there is like a good time to interrupt Jesper, then I will ask him your question right away. And if there is not a good time to interrupt him and ask him in the middle of the demo, then we will collect your questions and ask Jesper at the end, and then I'm pretty confident that we can answer all of your questions. And with this like very short introduction, let's get to the agenda. And the whole webinar today will be demo. So last time we showed you a lot of PowerPoint slides, and now we go to the complementary part, and it should not be Q&Q, but Q&A. This is if a German who is excited about the European Championship types excited in an excited way too fast. And so with this, I'd like to introduce you to Jesper and hand over to Jesper so that we can start seeing Perfion in action. So Jesper, I pass this over to you, and the stage should be yours whenever you are ready to share.
Much. Can you first of all confirm that you can hear me and see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen and I can hear you well. You just switched from Business Central to Perfion.
All right.
And good. So with Excellent. This, I will shut up and you continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. First of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to introduce you to Perfion PIM. I have agreed with Martin that I will do absolutely no PowerPoint slides today. I will only show software to give you an idea of the capabilities of Perfion PIM, and hopefully also so you could see how it could benefit you or your customers, if you are an end customer, how it could benefit your business. Just 2 words about myself. I've been with Perfion for the past 10 years now, part of Boyum IT. I've been working as a solution consultant, doing PIM implementations out there in the real world. Today I work as a product specialist, meaning I'm very much focused on the development of our product. Where are we going? What's happening in the market of PIM? What should we embrace in the future? And one good source of inspiration is these kinds of demos. So I hope you will have good questions for me at the end, because then I can take something back and continue making Perfion what I see as the best PIM in the market. Let's see how you feel after I have shown you the product. So where to begin? What you see on the screen here is the Perfion web client. I have logged in. I have opted to go into my product section. I have chosen my coffee machines from my category tree, and on the right-hand side, I see the products that I have in this category. I'm using a fairly small set of products in my demo. It gives you a better way of focusing on hopefully what I'm showing rather than drowning in a large number of products. In the real world, of course, there would be many more products in a system like this. So this is the Perfion client, but here on another tab, I just started also my BC that I have locally here on my demo server, because I will spend a bit of time today also explaining how Perfion can integrate with the BC. So that's my first tab. My second tab is Perfion, and the third tab here is just a little demo website that I use basically because the end purpose of having a PIM system is to be able to publish products into different channels. And an e-commerce shop is one of the most important channels for most of you out there. So this is just my little mock-up that is used to exemplify an e-commerce shop. This is not part of the product suite. It's not something you get if you buy and license Perfion. It's only for demo purposes. But with these three tabs, I have the full journey, so I can show you what a Perfion PIM is all about. I'll start by just giving you a few input to the basic navigation and how you operate inside Perfion. I'll do that using some of the products that I already have in the system. And when I've shown you that, then I'm going to take you on a little product enrichment journey, which starts with some products that are created in my ERP system in BC here in the background. I'll take them into Perfion. I'll do some enrichment, and then I'll show you how I can publish my products into the different channels. And at the very end of the demo, I'll actually also show you a reverse workflow where products are created inside the PIM instead. We call that a PIM first approach. And only at a certain stage when products are enriched and approved, then I can release them into BC. Whether one or the other option is the best one for you depends a lot on your business. So I'm not going to go into the arguments for choosing either one, but just be aware that you're going to see the products flowing both ways between these two systems. So the Perfion PIM application, what's it all about? Well, as I said, I chose my coffee machines here, and I can immediately see here that I have three different products here on the right-hand side. And a product information system is, of course, about managing product information. But just as a little side note before I go into the product information management part, I just want to highlight that Perfion can not only be used to manage product information, you can manage information for a ton of different entities that would be relevant for you. So it could be products, it could be spare parts, it could be locations, it could be customers, whatever would make sense. You could use the Perfion PIM as a tool to manage information about all of these different entities. But in most cases, of course, products is one of the key entities that is used inside the PIM system. But you can also use it as a sort of a DAM system, a digital asset management system. So just as I can have product information in Perfion, I can also have information about images. So here it's basically the same Perfion as you saw with products, but images, and these images can have data. And then of course I can link my images to my products and the other entities that I have inside my system. So Perfion is more than just product information, but product information is what I'll focus on from now on. So I have here my three products, and I want to manage some data for these three products. How would I do that? Well, one thing is, right now I'm looking at these products just in this card view. So here I can just see the products that I have. But I could go to a work mode that we call item details. And with item details, I get a pane here on the right-hand side where I can actually start working on my product data. So here I have the item card for a product. And of course, the benefit of loading in a panel like this is that I can navigate my different products here, and I can see and manage the information that is specific to each product. I could focus on technical specifications, and when I navigate between my products, I can immediately see what kind of information I have in either of these areas that I have here. So the item details is one way, and of course you can also open an item editor, which is basically the same as item detail. You just have the item editor in an overlay, and you can manage information here. There are a lot of clever things you can do here in terms of filtering and showing translations and all that, but I'm not going to go too much into that. Just be aware, of course, that you can manage all the information on a product inside this item card. This is the preferred way of working for many of our customers that have a very product-centric approach to managing data. One product, a lot of data, refining the data, saving it, going on to the next product. That's all fine. That's a good way of working. But we also have a lot of customers who need to work faster with many products and lots of data. And for that, we have in Perfion what we call the grid. So rather than looking at my products like these cards, I can look at my products in this Excel-like grid. And it is actually very Excel-like because inside Perfion, you can manage product data just as you would in Excel. So if you want to change the weight for something, a product, you simply type in the new value and save it, and it's saved. The benefit is, of course, it's not saved in an Excel sheet, it's saved in a database, so it's now a central single source of truth. We can use this to update the weight on this product in all our different channels. But some of the good things in Excel is, of course, also that you can do multi-updates. So I could just select these 3 cells. If I wanted to save the same weight for all of these 3 products, I just select all of them and hit enter, and then I've updated the weight for all 3 products. I can do the same with these pick lists. If I want to change the color on both of these 2, I can just select the cells, click F2, select the color that I want, and it's applied to both of these products. I can do copy paste just like you know it from Excel, and I can do it with all types of information, even including assets. So if I wanted to copy this image from this product to this product, I would simply do Control-C, and I would go to this cell, and I would do Control-V, and that image is copied and is now also used on this product. I have, of course, a full log of all changes. So if I make a mistake, I can go to previous values. I can see what values was in this cell previously, and I want to restore this image, and I just click restore, and that image comes back into that cell. So there's a good safety net under users. If you make a mistake, there's an easy way to correct it. But there is, of course, also a very comprehensive security and access rights model. So you can limit users to do whatever they are specifically allowed to do. I have an example of that a bit later in my demo. Right now, I'm logged in as an admin, so I'm, of course, allowed to do everything. But you can limit users down to individual cells, individual products in what they are capable of doing. So that's some of the basic things about how you navigate and manage data in Perfion. Last thing I just wanted to show you is that we use drag and drop quite a lot in the system. So just as you would know it from, for instance, Outlook, if these 2 products are wrongly categorized in coffee machines, they should have been in coffee makers. Well, all you need to do is simply drag them into that other category, and then they're recategorized into this section here, this category. And of course, you can pick them again and drag them back into coffee machines. Oh, I didn't get to pick both of them, but let's just do that. And so you can easily manage data for a lot of products in lots of different ways. Now you may be thinking there's a very few attributes for this product right here. That's because I've chosen a view where I'm just looking at some basic data. I can go in and choose any view here that would make sense. So if I wanted to look at my specifications, I would simply choose another view, and then I would have the specifications for these products. So easy to navigate around and focus on the data you need, because often you will have very big data models on your products. You can have maybe 50, 100, maybe you even have customers that have more than 1,000 attributes on products. And just loading 1,000 columns doesn't really make sense. So make sure to work with views and focus on what is really needed. So that's the simple basics of managing product information in Perfion. But really, what a PIM system is all about, and what's really important, is that it supports your processes that you have in your business, and also that it helps you make sure that you have good data quality. And how do we do that? Well, in Perfion, we use our dashboards for that. And I say dashboards because you can have many different dashboards here in the system. And let's start if we take a look at a quality dashboard like this one. A quality dashboard is basically set up to help you ensure that all of your products have all the information that is needed and that data is of the right quality. So, and there are many ways that we can investigate this and verify this. A simple way is, of course, if data is missing. So let's assume that on my products in my system, I would need to have certain dimensions data, which should basically be on all my products. So I set up a small widget like this that will help me monitor if, for some reason, dimensions are missing on any of my products. So I can see here that I have 3 products in my accessories category that have some dimensions missing. So when I click this one, Perfion does 2 things. First of all, of course, it loads the 3 products that have these gaps in data, but it also loads a view that allows me to focus specifically on what I need to focus on. And in this case, I need to focus on dimensions data. So I see weight, length, width, height, and so on directly in the grid. So for me, it's obvious that the width here is missing. So all I need to do is do a multi-update on these 3 because, yeah, I guess they have the same width because they're just variants of the same product. And I'll just type that one in. And that would basically be it. So when I go back to the dashboard now, there's only 1 product here in wash and flood, and that will have another gap, but within the same features. So this kind of time is maybe the height, and this is probably, I don't know, 45 centimeters. Let's just apply that and go back to our dashboards. And we can see that now that I have made sure that all my products comply with the rule that I have in terms of dimensions. It could also be that we have validation errors. We can, of course, have rules on individual features. And if we take a look at this one here and click this, I can see that these 2 products from various categories, there's a product with the EAN code here, and there's a product with the weight here. And what are the problems? Well, I can just read the little help icon here and say, of course, it's in my system, the EAN code must be 13 digits. So this one doesn't make sense. So I need to make sure to add the missing digit here, and then it goes away. This one here, the weight is, we only allow 2 digits after the decimal point. So I should, of course, round this off and say then it should be like this. And I have sorted out my problems. And I can go back to the dashboard and I can see that that one is also done. So that's one thing that's really important from the PIM system, and where we in Perfion use the dashboards a lot to help you make sure that the quality of your product data is up to speed. The other thing we use the dashboard for is to support business processes. And this is where a PIM system really has to be effective, because in your daily work, it's all about onboarding new products, making sure that these products get enriched and that they are out into your channels as fast as possible. Time to market is of essence. So a system that can help you transfer products through your processes fast and efficient is what you need as a good supplement to your BC ERP system. So I have this little dashboard here that is my example of a process dashboard. And right now we can see that all is good. I've done my work. All my products are in a good state. So all of my widgets here show 0. But now in the background here in my BC system, I created 5 new products inside the ERP system that at this point, they don't exist in Perfion. But I would now like to run an integration query that takes a look inside the BC system and synchronizes new items from BC into Perfion. Because inside Perfion, of course, I need to start doing the enrichment. So in Perfion, I have a toolbox that we call Actions. And Actions is it is a very comprehensive toolbox that allows us to build integrations, onboarding, syndication, all sorts of exchange of data with foreign systems. So here I have a synchronization that can look into my BC. I have another synchronization that can look into an SAP database that I also have. But for this one, we'll just take a look at the BC database and see if there are any new products that we should know about. So I start this one, and it starts as a job that runs in the background. This can take anything from a few seconds to minutes, hours if it's really, really big. And of course, it would normally be something that you would schedule to run overnight or once every hour or something. So any user should not worry about running this synchronization. But for demo purposes, it's nice to be able to run it exactly when I need it. So I'm going to see if I can just remove this one here. Let's see if I can refresh my grid here on my dashboard and see if I have any new products. You can see it's actually still running in the background, so it's still pulling some information, some assets, and so on. But I can now see.
Yes, but while it is loading, there is a question, and the question is it possible to assign different type of dimensions to product groups, for example, only length and height? And then
Yes.
will this also be, can we use this to give validation errors if we don't do it?
Yes, I think the simple answer to all of that would be yes. It is possible to set things up very flexible. I have a small example of different dimensions data on different types of different categories of products. So I can show you that that's possible. Perfion is really, really flexible. You can twist and bend it in many different ways and build data models that fit directly to you. So my simple answer to these questions would be yes, that is possible.
Okay, super, thank you.
But I now onboarded these 5 products, and what you can see here is that the 5 products actually showed up in 3 different widgets here at the same time. And that's because in my system, I have allowed my master data people and my product people and my marketing people to go to work on these products at the same time. That saves me time in terms of getting these products ready for my channels. So anyone could log in, of course, with the appropriate rights. They could log in and start working within their domain. Now, if we take a look at these specifications, just to follow up on the question here, if I click on these, I can see that 3 of the new products were in the cups section category and 2 were in coffee machines. So if I click the cups here, Perfion will load these 3 cups, which were the new products that I got from my ERP system. I actually made my action also enriched them with some images. So I cheated a little bit in the background and loaded some images as well. So I had to do a little less work here during this demo. But I got some information in, but I can also see that I have some information missing. And these cups here, I have configured those so they should have a diameter. That could be, I don't know, 5 centimeters, and they should have a volume. And that would be 0.35 liters in this case. And that's all good and shown. I can see that that was all the information was missing. So I could go ahead and approve these from a sort of product management, product owner point of view. I have now added the specifications that was needed for these. But you will see now, if I take my coffee machines here, you will see that the grid automatically loads different categories, different attributes. Because for these coffee machines, I would need to specify water tank capacity, cable length and power, and maybe some other dimensions, whatever would be needed. So you can have these individual data models for the individual product types. So in this case, I would need a cable length, maybe 1.2 meters for both of these machines. And I can see that there's a little bit of a problem here with piano black, because that's actually not a color that is allowed or that I have allowed for coffee machines. So I might just go ahead and change that to black to make sure that we correct that error. So now I'm happy with these 2, and I can approve these as well. And that means that when I go back to the dashboard, my widget has sort of gone to 0. Now, if I was responsible for master data and to validate master data, that would, of course, be some of the data that I would get from the ERP system, and maybe I would need to enrich with a bit more information here. Here you can see I get all 5 products at the same time. And here are some of the tools that I can also use in Perfion. One here is what we call a completeness score. So I can see that there's a little more data missing on this one, whereas a little less missing on these ones. And then I have these remote traffic lights. I can use these to indicate a certain state of the product. In this case, I have a traffic light that tells me whether this product exists in Business Central. And of course it does, because that's where I got it from. So this is, of course, green, but I'll show you at the end how we can use this. But the idea is now, and you already got the idea, that if I can freeze a column here just like I can in Excel, I could also, if you want more workspace, I could remove that one. And then all I need to do is basically start filling in the blanks. I'll skip the supplier retail price because I use that in a different context. But there's an EAN code missing here, so I have to type in, from 13 digits and get the assign an EAN code. There's a weight, there's a height here, and for these 3 cups, it's probably the same again, 7 centimeters or whatever. The quality of data is not that important in our demo situations here. And there's a brand missing, so I'll select these two cells. And because I know upfront that these are Sage coffee machines, I can just start typing SA on my keyboard, and then I will immediately filter down to any brand that I have that starts with SA, and that's the one I need. So I'll just click that and add it to these two products. And as I went along, you can see that the completeness scores went to 100. So I'm actually now in a state where I can say, I can verify for the master data of these 5 products, and I can approve that. So the principle is the same when you work with these widgets. For marketing, they will focus on, images, descriptions, product relations, product and spare parts, or upselling. If you buy this coffee machine, you might want to buy these cups as well. So all these different types of relations. And there's a little thing I would like to show you here, because you can see that there's a product description missing here. And this is an excellent opportunity for me to talk a little bit about AI. Artificial intelligence is the big buzzword in our business, just like in basically every other business out there at the moment. But also in the PIM business, it's a big thing, because it has the potential to help you save a lot of work. And just a small example of what we can do is say, okay, there's a description missing here. Rather than starting working with this myself, I could ask ChatGPT or some other AI engine to come up with a suggestion. So what we have built here is a small action that takes some of the data that I have on this product, the item code, or maybe the item name, and something that I can send to ChatGPT. And then I can just say, let me execute an action on this one, and I'll want the ChatGPT to write me a marketing description. So I'll just execute that one, and it knows the context of which product I'm on. So this little action here in the background now sends this information to ChatGPT, and I get a marketing description back, which the system automatically inserts into this cell. So when I refresh this one, I'll have now a marketing description written by ChatGPT, and I can, of course, go ahead and refine it and make changes. And when I'm happy, I can just keep it. So that's one example of what you can do with AI and Perfion. And the way Perfion approaches AI is we don't try to anticipate what you would need as a business, because AI is moving so fast and the opportunities are so vast that for us to try to anticipate what you would need would be a big mistake. Rather, we want to give you a tool and a library where it's easy to build integrations that will do whatever it is that you need. And our actions can do that. This little action here that integrates with the ChatGPT was built in a matter of hours by one of my colleagues. So it's fairly simple when you know what to do and you understand the little bit of coding that is needed. Then you can add this and use artificial intelligence for lots of different purposes. Product-to-product relationships, fairly simple in this case. Maybe I would like to link to upsell a thermal jug for both the cups and the machines. So I could just start writing I've started a filter here. Sorry, that was the wrong filter. I can't. What are they called? I forgot what they're called. They're called vacuum jugs. Sorry, that was what I should have started. So let me do this one instead. And I will immediately filter down to any product here. So I could say I want to upsell this nice little red thermal jug, and I'll just add that to all of these 5 products. I may also want to add some lifestyle images because I want to use these when I promote these products in my brochures or in a data sheet or whatever. So I can go into my image picker here and choose my lifestyle category. And here I have some images that I have chosen that I can use for these different purposes. So maybe I would want this one, and I would want this one, and I may definitely want this one. But actually, this is the most important. So I'll just sort them right here and say this is number 1, 2, and 3. So I can use now a carousel of images in my different channels. So I'll apply these 3 images to all of my 5 products. And basically now, as a marketing person, I'm done. I can say I'm improving these from a marketing perspective, and we're making good progress. So I have my enrichment, all is done. But before I start pushing these products into my different channels, I also wanted to make sure to translate some of this product information into Spanish. in my little demo world here, I also sell these products in Spanish market. So I need someone to take care of Spanish translations. Now, I'm not a Spanish-speaking person, so I would probably need to let someone else into Perfion and handle the translations. And this is where I can show you how we can manage rights. So if I log out with my admin account and I log in with a fictive translator account here, now you can see that when this person clicks dashboards, he has a much more limited dashboard. He basically only has one widget, and this is the one that tells him where there is a need for Spanish translations. It works the same. He clicks this one, he sees these 5 products, and he sees the English text that he needs to translate. He doesn't have access to the English text, so he can't do anything here. He's not supposed to change these texts, but what he really needs to do is make sure that he translates the Spanish text. So I'll add Spanish to my grid, and now I simply have dual columns for item name in English and item name in Spanish, subheader, subheader, and description, and description. And now the translator could start going to work and write these translations manually. But we have, of course, I would say of course, but we have built-in translation integration to Google Translate and to DeepL translation. These 2 engines are quite powerful out there in the real world. You can set up in Perfion which one you want to work with. You have to buy a token or an API key yourself and insert that into the system. But once you have done that, you basically select the cells you want translate into, and you hit a shortcut called Alt-T, and then you get translations back from this engine. Now it's a little hard to see on the item name, but we could try here with the description in Spanish. And again, I right-click and I say translate here. And so I now send these 5 texts to the engine, and I get these things back. Again, I'm not Spanish-speaking, so I'm not can't vouch for the quality of this. But the Spanish-speaking person could, of course, make the adjustments and at some point approve it. So translations have also tried to make simple. You could automate this fully, so even the translator wouldn't have to go and do this and sort of pick the translations themselves. You could just have an action running in the background. So every time an English text was added, you would go and pick a new Spanish translation. Lots of ways to work with that. The important thing is that we have the tools to make life easy for you and for the people who need to manage product data in your organizations. All I need to do now as a translator is to say, I will approve these. Yeah, I know there's some data missing here, but I'm just going to approve them anyway. And my dashboard will go to 0. And that was all I needed to do. So I'm just going to log out. And now the admin can log in again. And the admin can, of course, also go to the dashboard and see that the Spanish translator did his job. So all the enrichment is done. We have all the data we need. We have the translations we need. Now, really what we need is to make sure that we publish these products into the appropriate channels. And that in itself, it can also be a challenge because these 5 products, where should they go on my web shop? Should I have some print for it? Should I have a data sheet? Should they go in a printed catalog? Do I have anybody out there that I syndicate data to? Do I sell them on a marketplace? Do I have B2B customers who need a data file? There are lots of different channels and lots of different options for how and when and where you would like to publish this information. So let's take a look at some of the ways we can do that. If I click this one here, the good thing in Perfion is now you understand the principle. So there's no surprises again. When I click this one, I see the same 5 products as I saw before. And there are now several different ways that I can start pushing these products into my web shop. One way is, and I'll start with that one, is to say, I'll go into my cart view here, and then I'll go into a work mode here that we call publish. And the publish work mode basically splits the screen in 2. So I still have my product universe over here, but now I have my channel universe over here. So up here, I have the different channels that I have configured in the system, and that could be my website. It could be InDesign for data for catalog production. It could be using Perfion's internal catalog production. And it could be that I send some of these products to Amazon. So all of these are, from a PIM perspective, considered channels because they're basically recipients of product information and data. So I'm going to look at my e-commerce website here. And the good thing about this publish work mode is that this gives me an opportunity to click through the different nodes that I have in my website, and I can actually see which products are already there. So all of the things that I see here on the right-hand side, these are the products that are already online on my website. So in this case, I could simply say, okay, I want these three here to go into cups and jugs. So I'll just drag them in there. And they will just be listed alphabetically here. So they are here now on the list. These two here, they should go into brewing. So I'll drag them in here. And when I click brewing, I can see that I now have these two products here. And I can, of course, remove them again if I made a mistake. So this is a nice, intuitive, visual way of pushing products into channels. Now I could also actually do it by just adding data to my products, because publishing a product into a channel is really just adding information to the product that it is now in this category on my website. So publishing is actually just like applying a color or a weight or any other thing. You just tell the product where it belongs, and then the channel figures out which products to pull and publish on that particular channel. So I had done it manually, so the result is visible here in my website feature. I could also actually utilize some of the powers that we have in our actions library. And that means that I could build an auto-categorization feature or action in my system that will actually try to suggest categorizations, website categorizations for me. So if I flip this switch, I tell the system now, please, and there's a trigger that says, okay, whoa, I was watching this one. And when you actually change this, I'll go ahead and try to figure out where to put this on the website. So when I refresh this again, the system has now come up with some suggestions for where these products should go. If I'm happy with that, I can just approve it and do the final publishing, or I could, of course, change it here. The point is that on my little fictive demo website, where was it here, if I refresh my new category, I now have these products. There we go. So this is as easy as it can be. Simply you drag and drop your products into your channels, and after some sort of synchronization or integration has run, these products will be available on your website. So that was my website. In Perfion, we have a lot of print capabilities. I want to show you a few examples of that because it's actually something that a lot of our customers are very, very happy about. Print can be many different things. It can be data sheets, it can be catalogs, it can be price lists, it can be all sorts of things that we still actually generate for somebody to read and browse through. It could be that it's only exists digitally, but it could also end up actually being a print as we know it from the old days. The point is, Perfion can really help you a lot in this sense, because you can see here that I have a feature that's called data sheet template. All I need to do is instruct my system that for these cups, I would like to have a product sheet using my one-page template. So I'll assign that to these three products. These two machines here, I would actually like to use on my two-page template, and I'll assign that to these products. Again, I have a little trigger that monitors this field. So whenever something happens in this field, it goes ahead and actually generates these data sheet links. So this was all I needed to do to get a data sheet for this particular machine. And if I want to preview it, I can just click here. It takes a little while because it was just generated. As soon as I have generated once, it's cached and it's available much faster. So just a few seconds before the engine in the background has generated the data sheet. And blah, blah, this is where you start talking about football when you do a live demo, but there it is. So this is my two-page data sheet, which was also generated by the system. It uses a template that I have also set up inside Perfion. So it has nothing to do with InDesign or anything. It's all Perfion capabilities. And this is something that you can now use on your website or wherever it would make sense to use something like this. And you can have a different template for this one. I think it's a little faster the second time I actually click this one. But I could have a different design in my template for smaller and less complex products. So this is just a one-page data sheet for this particular cup here. So that's one way of using Perfion's print capabilities. We can also generate something in the lines of complete catalogs. We have customers in Perfion that generate catalogs of hundreds and even thousands of pages. These very, very big annual catalogs that they actually generate more or less directly out of Perfion. To demonstrate that, I'm going to go back to my card view, and I'm going to go to my publish work mode here, because now I want to choose my channel here that's called my catalog. The structure of my catalog here is that it has a front page, an index, and an introduction, and then I have some different product categories. So these are sections inside my catalog, and again, I can see which products are already there just by browsing through the different sections of my catalog. Now, in this case, I would want let's see, I want these two machines here to go into the coffee maker, so I could drop them there, but I could also sort them directly, because in a printed catalog, it's important what is the order of these products as they are presented. I want these to be my first products in my catalog, so I'll drop them here as the first two, and these two are moved down the line. And these three I'll just drop in cups and jugs, and I don't care about the order, so just put them in there. So they are now in here as well, last on the list. So when I'm happy with the assortment here in my catalog, I may want to preview what my catalog would look like. So now at the top node here in my catalog, I'll say, please go ahead and publish this one. I'll select a template. I want it in English, and I'll give it a name, DemoCat01. DemoCat01, and I'll start the generation. Now this is again an engine that runs in the background, and what it does is it actually generates one PDF for each of these nodes. It knows which products to include in each of these. It has a different layout, a different template for each of these nodes. I can even see that if I choose this one instead. So each of these nodes has a different template that is stored and saved inside the system. And the publishing tool now puts all of this big puzzle together and generates a catalog in the form of a PDF file. And we can monitor here in my job list to see the progress. It usually takes about a minute or so, so bear with me just for a few more seconds, and I trust it will be there. And the end result is going to be a catalog, as you know. It's going to have these sections that I showed you before with the production and the index and all of that. It's all managed and run by the system. So hopefully we'll get there. There we go. So here's my catalog. I'll download it and show it here on a tab. It has a front page. It has an index, system generated, of course. Maybe some introduction, and then I have the different sections. So in my coffee makers, I have the two products that you just showed that I added to the system, and they are there, and the two others are still there. In my coffee brewers, I have different layout because I don't want to use that much space for just a simple product like this one. And maybe I'll even have something where I focus more on variants. So this is one cup, but you can buy these three different colors. All generated by the system, all ready to use. So really time saving if you do these catalogs for different scenarios. And one of the things that become possible when you have a system like this is now you don't have to restrict yourself to only publishing this maybe every 6 months, because you can now set up smaller catalogs, and you can allow various people in your organization to manage the different catalogs. So you could have catalogs for a specific customer. You could have catalogs for different assortments. There are endless possibilities to set this up, and you will simply set it up as different channels in the system. So for a catalog, you would also need a price list, because one thing is, of course, looking at all these nice products that you have in the catalog, but people would also like to know what it costs, or the retail price for these products. And I could show you a simple price list, but I actually want to show you a more advanced option that you have here with Perfion and with BC in the background. Because with BC in the background, many of you would manage prices that vary for your different customer groups. You have price plans, and you have also all sorts of complex pricing structures that would mean that the same customer would not pay the same amount of euros or dollars for the same products. That is something that we can also work with in Perfion. So I can show you an example report that I have here that's called a customer-specific price list. When I choose this, I get an additional option down here where I can actually choose a customer. And in this case, I'd say, let's take progressive home furnishing. and choose that one. And then just give this one a name here, demo price list 01. And I'll just start the generation here. Now I generated from the same catalog, so the price list will have prices for all the same products that you just saw in the catalog. But the cool thing is that Perfion actually now has sent a query to BC in the background saying, what are the prices for this particular customer for all of these different products? And the BC system will then say, here's a list of the prices for that particular customer. And we can then use these prices inside our publication. So here is my demo price list, neatly set up with auto-generated barcodes and images and all sorts of stuff, and the same assortment as you saw in the catalog. But you can see now here that I have both the list price, and here I have the specific customer, but I also have a special price for you, my friend. So this price is $9.95, but you would only pay $9.25. So these are some of the options that you will have with the PIM system like Perfion, and I hope you can see that there is a lot of time potentially saved on tasks that you spend a lot of time with manual processes maybe today. So let me reset. Let me say that I was done with this. I can say print is okay. I can go now to my dashboard, and I'm actually ready to do the last thing, which is syndication. And now I'm not going to talk a lot about this, but syndication is basically all about systems, organizations, recipients out there who don't want printed information or nicely formatted information, they just want raw data. And Perfion is capable of exporting and syndicating raw data in many, many different ways. Basically, if you can think of it, we can generate that output. So just as a small example, I can say if I wanted to push all of these products into Amazon and try to sell them there, in Perfion, what I would do, I would choose a category in Amazon where they should go. And this is a very, very simplified example. It's, of course, a lot more complex in the real world, but the principle is clear. You simply choose that in Amazon, it should go in their coffee and tea category. And when you're happy about that, you would just say, okay, go ahead and syndicate that. So what Perfion does now is, again, it runs in the background, but it now generates a file, and I put it out here in syndication, and you can see it was generated right now, 4:47 p.m., which is right now. And this is now an XML file in a very specific format that would fit the requirements from Amazon. And this is something that Perfion can generate out of the box. You just set it up in the background in our actions library, and then Perfion generates output like this, ready to use by the one who would need it out there in the real world. So that was my last example on my dashboard. Hopefully you are now totally confused and overwhelmed with options and maybe even questions. But hopefully you also during this demo saw some ideas and say, yeah, that's actually something we do and we spend a lot of time and we struggle maybe a little bit with that. And I could see some potential in a system like this. That was my purpose in showing you this. I know that it was probably overwhelming, and I know I talk a lot, but I hope you got some useful information.
So thank you, Roman.
I have is the reverse, because I wanted to just spend 5 minutes at the end showing you another option. But maybe I just take a small break and see if there are any questions.
Yeah, I had one, Jesper, and I think you were now going to address this. This is, you showed us how we can like sync data from Business Central into Perfion and then execute all these wonderful workflows. But is there also like, are there use cases to write data back from Perfion into BC, and how would this work?
Yes, good. So let's take a look at that, because in that scenario, you would probably get product information from some other source than your BC. So you might get it from suppliers in Excel sheets, or you might get it from a PLM system where products are born, and then you would want to take them through a PIM system before you take them into your ERP systems. There can be many different scenarios and reasons, business reasons why you would do that. I have, just as a small example, I have created two different imports here. One that will grab some information from an Excel sheet I have in the background, and another that will grab some information from an Excel sheet. So I will start both of these. So they'll start as two different jobs here in the background. And these are now pulling information from these external sources into Perfion. And if we just give them a few seconds, see if any one of these should complete, hopefully. Let's see, maybe they are already there. Yeah, okay, at least one of them was already provided me data. I don't know why they are so slow. They should be. Okay, I hope the rest works. I should actually have 7 products here, but I only have 4 right now. But the idea is I onboarded some new products into my PIM system first. And I can see these 4 products here in my master data section here, same widget, same logic, everything is the same as you saw before. But now you can see here that these actually do not exist in BC. I think I got the last products now, so let's take all 7. Yeah, there we go. But you can now see on the traffic light here that these products do not exist in BC. And that's, of course, the truth because I onboarded them directly into Perfion. One thing I need to do as a first is to take the supplier item number out here and use that as my own item number. That may not be the real world case, but I can simply, I build a little action for that, which says, please copy supplier item number to my base value. And my base value is basically my product item number. So I start this little job, and that takes care of copying these informations over to this cell here. That is needed before I can run the synchronization into BC. So it's not done yet. I'm not having. Oh, I think I made a mistake because I of course need to execute it on all. So copy supplier item all items in grid. Otherwise, it will only touch the one I was actually on. So let's see if this one goes better. Go on. There we go. So now I have item numbers, which is of course the key between my PIM system and my ERP system. And that means that I can now say I want to approve these for Business Central. And when I click this, flip this switch here in Perfion, the Perfion system tells me now that they are in stage yellow, which means that I have approved them in Perfion, but they're still not in BC. So now I need to go to BC and go to the a module that you can install in BC, Perfion module, bottom module that is called Release to BC. When I filter for that, you can see that I have some different pages and tasks here. And the one that I'm interested in is the integration card. Because the integration card, this is not something normal users in BC would ever have to do. This will just be set up with the scheduler and it will just run in the background without anybody having to do anything. But I wanted to show you this because this is actually where you control that integration. This is a basic mapping. On the left side here, I have the BC data, the tables, the fields. If you come from the old NAV days, you of course recognize this. And these are basically the values that I pulled from Perfion. So without going into too much detail, I can now just start this one, and it will now query. Now it's BC querying Perfion and asking, do you have any new products? And I should hopefully have 7 new products that are now synchronized to BC. Because if I go back to Perfion, whoops, there, and I refresh this one, let's take a look and see if we had any success. Hopefully this one should now turn green. Yeah, and that's an indication that these products were now synchronized into Perfion. We can try to search for one of them, TE60. Let's see if we can find that one. TE60. So there is my new product. And if I open that in BC and my item card here, you can see, and I just want to show that as an example, I synchronized the price in that I got from the supplier in my external source. That was synchronized into this unit price. From now on, it's BC that owns this price. So if I wanted to say, no, it's actually just 850 or whatever, and I change this price in BC, that is immediately reflected in Perfion, because in Perfion, I now have what we call, let me just do this here again, reach this column. What I have here now is something we call a remote field. So this actually shows the retail price from BC. So when I update this one here, we will see that it changed immediately in Perfion because it's actually not data that is owned by Perfion. It's a live lookup in BC that shows you the price. So you can still see the original supplier price here, but it's now BC that owns the price, and you make subsequent changes to price and price management in there. So that's, other than that, the dashboard would work just as we saw before. The whole process of workflows and data quality and all of that would be totally independent on whether you chose a PIM first or an ERP first approach to your implementation. So that was the end. 2 different ways, lots and lots of options in the Perfion PIM. I hope you found something that was of interest, and if there are any questions, we have a few minutes left. So Martin,
yeah, thank you so much, Jesper. That was again a very, very comprehensive and cool demo. And actually, what you just showed, the integration with Business Central, triggered a couple of more questions. So the first question is, do you have product lifecycle capabilities in Perfion?
Well, it depends a little bit on what the definition of product lifecycle capabilities are. If you think of product lifecycle management like a PLM system, then no, Perfion PIM is not a competitor to a PLM system. If you are a manufacturer and you use a PLM system, you would still use that. So in a lighter sense, if you talk product lifecycle management in terms of this is a new product and this is a product that is live and we can sell it, this is a discontinued product. If it's that sense of lifecycle management, then yes, we can of course do that with Perfion. So it depends a little bit on the thinking behind the question.
And then there were 2 more questions that came up when you were showing the integration or the how you wrote created the products from Perfion in Business Central. So the first question was, or the one question is, if it is possible to use item templates, so that because in BC we can set up item templates, and then can we use item templates when you do the PIM to BC process?
Yes, I haven't actually had hands-on experience with that myself, but I'm fairly sure that it is a capability that we support. But you know, I'm a consultant. I'm not a salesperson, so I'm always careful with what I say. So it is a careful yes, and something that I would like to follow up on and give a more specific answer.
Okay, then I'm giving the careful yes to the follow-up question, because the follow-up question is that when the items are set up, how the posting groups are assigned in Business Central. But then if we would support the use of item templates, then we could set up the item templates. With the item templates, determine the posting groups, and then if yes, your careful yes is right, then my careful yes will be a definitive yes.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And of course, you could go very low key and also create these attributes in Perfion and set the posting groups and so on in PIM. Yeah. But that would kind of not be a good approach. So using item templates, I think, is a much better approach. And I'm fairly sure that the answer is yes. But please allow us to follow up, and then we'll make sure that you get the definite answer.
Okay, great. So any other question from anybody here in the room? If not now, then reach out to either Jesper or myself afterwards with emails, or if we are connected on LinkedIn, then you can ping me a message there, and I will make sure that it gets to the right person within Voyum and that you get an answer quite soon. With this, I don't see any further questions. So Jesper, thank you very much. As said, this was welcome. Very cool and inspiring, and thank you everybody for joining. I hope you liked it, and again, if you have further questions, just reach out to me and I make sure you will get in contact to the Perfion experts within Voyum. So thanks all. Have a great day, a great evening, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.